getting crazy, baby, chill. Don't medicate, just meditate. You waking up now, well, baby, you hella late. Educate, look at what's going on, let it resonate, accelerate. Find your inner hunger like you never ate. Agenda is to push the hate, separate and segregate. Don't celebrate quite yet, the storm is coming, Q, for heaven's sake. Violence that they demonstrate, instigate and penetrate. The values of our country and our God is what they desecrate. My fighters ain't no featherweight, pulling out the seams of the fabric that they fabricate. They feed us lies, manipulate, intimidate through fear and force, forcing us to sit and wait till we come together, congregate, and then we liberate. Praying that you give me strength to find some love amongst the hate, marching on these streets of blood.
Welcome back to the Tim and Steve Show. I am Tim Beard, here again solo doing the show. Steve is still in Texas. He'll be back at the end of the month, but on Wednesday, so plan on doing a show Wednesday, today, Monday, Wednesday and Friday of this week. Wednesday, the superintendent for the Newport School District, Don Magoon, is going to come in and do the show with me, and we'll talk about things going on at the school. I'm sure we'll talk some behavior stuff. We'll talk a lot of different things, and which will be nice. It'll be a nice mix, because honestly, I hate doing the show alone. It's not fun, and I hope it's slightly entertaining for the people to watch with just me, but it's interesting when there's two people, how different it is when it's just one person talking and, looking at the camera, or, whatever. It's quite different. But anyways, yeah, she's going to come in on Wednesday morning, and we'll do a show, and it'll be good to really talk about a lot of stuff happening in Newport, some negative things, but also a lot of positive things. And like our meeting on Thursday, 2 weeks ago, we talked about the FFA and all these awards they had won at their it's not a meet, but it was a conference, I guess. Tons and tons of different things, whether it was just the group itself or if it was individuals, but a lot of great awards and stuff. So there's so many great things happening in Newport. A lot of times we're talking about the negative things, but so I'm excited to have her come in. We'll talk about all those things, and a little bit about her, and then what's going on with school, and then that'll be good. And then I'm going to try to see if I can get someone in for Friday too. If not, you'll be stuck with me, but it is what it is, I guess. I want to thank our sponsor, Sunshine Realty. If you're looking to buy a house, sell a house, reach out to Teresa Sherman, and she can help you out, and she can answer questions if you have any sort of questions, and where the real estate market's going right now. And it seems like it's coming down, but it's still definitely a seller's market versus a buyer's market. Stuff's pretty high still, and also Twin State Paving. Thank you so much for sponsoring the show. If you're looking to get your driveway paved this year, or if you're seal coating, reach out to them, and they can come out, give you an estimate, and then get you on the schedule for this summer. And you want to do that sooner than later. It books up quick. I know they're really busy. Businesses like this, they tend to book all winter long so that they have a full pack summer. Unlike, my brother's business, the sewer and drain business, where it's more emergency based. So you get a phone call and you go out and do a job and whatever. Not as much planning there, where these types of businesses, paving businesses is doing, booking it out. I can put you in June, I can put you in August, whatever. So reach out to them, and they can, hook you up, and they do a great job. They've done a lot of jobs for me, and I've always been extremely happy with their work. And so I want to thank both of them for sponsoring the show, Twin State Paving, Sunshine Realty. Trying to think. So Sunday, I brought 2 pigs to the butcher's, and me and my son did that, which is the first time we've done it alone. 2 years ago when I did 2 cows and 3 pigs, my buddy Kyle helped do it, and so this is my first time doing that alone, which if you've ever done it, it's not extremely complicated by no means, but it's different. I was telling Chris Roberts does the butchering for me, and he does an awesome job up in Croydon. And I was telling him, I was like, man, I hate the pigs. The pigs they were 182 and like 177 pounds dressed, and so they weren't like real big, but they're good size for the meat will be good. And I was just telling him the cows are so much easier because when you do the cow, gutting the cow, it's bigger, so it's easier to do what you got to do. And I don't want to get into details, and no one wants to hear those things. But anyways, me and my son Emilio did that yesterday, and our 3-year-old, like, we're really good with like telling her things like, hey, we're bringing them to the butcher. She actually went with us and saw them and brought them to the butcher, and because we wanted to like know what that is, and it's like, okay, we're going to eat them, and we're only killing them for for food, and we don't kill animals just for fun or any of those kind of things, and obviously she wasn't around when we shot the animal or did the butcher, the gutting of the animal or anything, but try to keep her informed of those things, even though she's young, and she totally gets it. Like she said, we got chickens, and so last week we got 32 chicks showed up. Instead of going to like Tractor Supply or Runnings or whatever this year, we just let's just go to the source. They have all theirs shipped in, and let's do it that way. It might have been a little more expensive, maybe, getting it directly from the source, which you wouldn't think, but then again, Tractor Supply and Runnings buy probably hundreds of thousands over all their stores, so they get a lot better rate. But we've had 2 of them have died since we got them. Other than that, the rest look good, which is normal. We did pick up like an electrolyte packet, and there's like these 2 packages put in the water. It's supposed to really help, when they're young like that, to keep them healthy, and because it's tough. We've had a couple years ago, I got turkeys, and so I got 12 turkeys from one of the stores in Claremont. I can't remember which one, Runnings or Track Supply, and the time we went to butcher, like I had 3 left, like 9 of those died. So 9 out of the 12, and they're pretty expensive. They're around $5 or $6 a piece, and then you feed them, and then I think it was last year we tried chicks. We had 24 chicks, and like every one of them died. Crazy. And so I was like, what are we doing wrong? Like, we have the heat lamp, and so really hopeful that this takes out a whole step of an extra bunch of people and exposure to different things, and so hopefully this will work out. But we got 3 of them are really, so 2 of them are like this black and brown color, very pretty. I can't wait to see what they're like full size. And there's like a gray looking one, which is really pretty too, and you can kind of tell the meat birds from the other ones, because the meat birds are growing even faster than the other ones, which is typical. But so it's pretty cool. A lot happening right now, at a place. And so now we have, let's see, we have 3 cows, we have 2 pigs, 2 goats, and 3 chickens, because we lost 2 chickens over the last week. One day, apparently, they forgot to take them from the outside pen and put them into the inside pen, and then the next night, our son put them away, but didn't. Steve came over last summer and put a latch on it, and he put a little hook on it so that it can't be opened, and something got them. So now I'm from 5 to 3, which doesn't make me happy. But so me and Amelia sat up on it. I have a storage container. It's like overlooks the coop, and we were out there last night because the 2 nights prior to that, around 8:30ish, we hear a wicked noise, and we went down there and to see what was going on, and couldn't see anything. Like, and he has like this night vision camera thing, which is really cool. You can actually see out, and it lights it up like day or whatever. And so last night we were like, you know what, we're gonna go down there. We're gonna sit down there. We're gonna wait, because whatever's killing my chickens is gonna die. So of course we go down, and we stayed from 8 to 9, which is right in that window of last 2 nights of them coming in. Whatever it was, it's either gonna be a raccoon, maybe a fox. I think those are really probably the 2. Raccoons are smart. They can use their hands and stuff to like open things, but they took the chicken completely. Like, weasels will just take the chicken's head off and usually just leave the chicken, and then like a bobcat or a coyote, like they wouldn't be able to get into the coop. Like, there's a couple small spots you can like scurry under it, kind of thing, which I want to this week like fix all that so that nothing can get into it. And obviously it's not like a bear or anything, because the bear would just take the front door right off of the coop. So and bears typically they're not aggressive like that. I mean, if they're really hungry, sure, it could happen, but and it does happen occasionally. Someone I know last year had their door taking off their garage. So a bear must have went in to get food or something, which it's rare. It does happen, but so I'm not thinking any of that. So I'm thinking either raccoon or maybe a fox. But last night we had no luck seeing anything, and which was disappointing, because I figured, well, we just stay out here right during the time that it's happened the last 2 nights, and because we heard like this metally like noise where they were, I don't know, like they're trying to get in or something, but then there was this horrible noise, which now looking at maybe it was them taking the chicken. And then when we ran down there, we were looking around like the barn and the animals there, the coop's back just a little bit from there. And, we didn't see anything. But then, then this last night we're like, hey, let's just go out here and we'll try to see if we can figure out what's going on, because I don't want to keep losing chickens. I hate it for the chickens. I'm very ethical when it comes to like shooting my animals. Like I want them just to die immediately. And then it's very hard for me. I was telling my wife yesterday, it's like, yeah, it's really tough because when you go into the barn or you go to, put down the animal, I get kind of like soft or like hesitate a little bit at first. I'm like, it's not easy, because they're animals and we fed them and we, they're not pets, but they still get attached to them. And then once I, get into the mode and shoot the animal or whatever, put the animal down, then it kind of just was good. And she's like, well, no, that's good. That means you have empathy, which means you care about things. That's a good thing. I was like, I know, but it's just, it's tough at first it was tough. And then I've had to put down a couple of animals that were sick, which that's even harder. But sometimes, it's just, you got to do it when you have animals, unfortunately. And, but yeah, we took the 2 pigs up to get butchered, and we got our cow back yesterday, and there's a lot of hamburg and stuff. So it's good meat that doesn't have any chemicals in it. And I'd recommend anyone out there that, if you want to start eating healthier, stop buying your meat from, Shaw's and different places like that, and just try to get actual farm raised meat from, an actual farm that doesn't have all these chemicals in it. Like we literally just give our cows, they have water, they have hay, and then we give them all stock, 14 or 16, depending on what the value says, right from Blue Seal. It's just a grain. Some places don't give their cows a lot of grain. We probably give more grain than we should. We just, I don't know, probably like soft about it. Like, oh, it's because we just want them to have the best stuff and have like the best life, obviously. So yeah, right now we have a milking cow, Bella, who we're hoping to get her pregnant with our bull, who's a year old now. So hopefully at some point that'll happen, and then we'd like to milk her and have her own milk. And obviously she's not a meat cow. She's a pet. She's a sweetheart. We got her from Wellwood Orchard 2 years ago. 2 years ago? Yeah, it wasn't last fall, the fall before that. And then we still have Annabelle, she's like 3.5 to 4. Andrew was like, hey, let's send her to the butcher too to cut back on costs, because it costs a lot to feed the animals. And I was like, I really don't want to, because I really want her to get pregnant, because those 2 have calves, and then, there's 2 more. And so I think I convinced her on that one. But the goat's pregnant, Lola, our goat, which we also got from Wellwood Orchard, which at the end of the year, Wellwood Orchard, they're petting zoo. They sell all the animals. So we have 2 goats that came from there and a cow. And both goats and the cow are really gentle and nice, and just used to interaction with humans. And so it's actually kind of works out great, because some animals, if they don't have a lot of interaction, like our bull, it's a year old now. We started out well, but then we get busy and stuff, obviously. So it's hard if you don't have that constant interaction with them, kind of treating them like a pet, they tend not to be as tame. Or the goats and stuff in Bella are more tame, because they literally are in this pen, and kids go in and feed them and pat them and all that all summer long. And but our goat's pregnant, and I know for a fact she's pregnant. You can see her udders coming down, and she's never had a baby or anything. So hopefully soon that'll be. And then I'm not even sure about the pig now. Like, I swear she's pregnant. Her teeth are coming down. She looks pregnant. She's bigger and everything, but we got like another 2 weeks, and if she doesn't give birth in 2 weeks, then clearly she's not pregnant. She just looks that way, because the last time we had her with our boar Mac would have been in January, and it's the rule of that is 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days for pigs to give birth, and it's like 5 months for goats, and then a cow is 9 months like a human. So a lot of interesting things happen around. And then one of my girls on my softball team, her parents and her, and they just had they have sheep, and they just had a bunch of lambs. And I told my 3-year-old about it, and ever since then she's like, we can go see the lambs. We can go see the lambs. And so I reached out to her. I was like, I told my 3-year-old about seeing the lambs. And so hopefully at some point, maybe this week on a nice day, we'll go up and see the lambs. And so it's pretty cool. Springtime at any farm is pretty cool. A lot of new babies. And we're sitting up on the storage unit last night, and all you can hear is the frogs. We have this wet spot behind the barn, which I need to eliminate obviously next year, but we ran out of time going into the fall, and it has tons and tons and tons of big groups of frog eggs in it, and there has to be hundreds of frogs because you just hear it's so loud, which it's cool, it's neat, but when you're trying to listen to like an animal come in, all I can hear is the frogs. It's it's like I can't really hear anything 'cause it's so loud, but pretty cool. So a lot of cool things happen. That was kind of the weekend. We obviously end of last week was beautiful. Friday did a job for my brother over in Springfield, Vermont, and got a sunburn. It was crazy, just like 2 days of really warm weather. And I rode my motorcycle. I picked up my daughter at school, and I felt it pretty good. I was wearing my tank top, which I always do, and my arms got really red. And it's funny, it must just be like the sun's just coming out. We're coming out of winter, and cause I saw a bunch of people over the weekend. I'm like, oh, you got sunburn. Oh, you got sunburn. And so hopefully this will just tan up, and then the next time it's nice and warm like that, it won't burn as much. But that, and I probably should start using sunscreen, which everyone probably should do to protect themselves from skin cancer. But a few things local, a bunch of depressing, probably mostly national stories. As I was going through show prep today, I was just like, it's tough. Like, it'll be good when Steve's back because we can focus more on local stuff too. But there's so many like depressing, horrible things happening in our country that I don't know. I don't even have an answer of like how even fix it. Besides, you have to vote out these people that are there now. But it's crazy. It's like this country's being like purposely destroyed. It's the only way you can think of it. There's no way this much could go wrong and it not be like a pre-planned thing. So we'll talk about a few of those a little later in the show. But tonight at 6:30 is the select board's meeting. Find this interesting, but so this is the agenda. So the Main Street striping plan update. So I'm assuming the the committee they formed will come in and say, hey, this is what we want to do, and they'll finalize it, I guess. Vehicle access to the common, I'm not sure what that's about, but I'm sure it's to do with the events on the common and like putting vehicles on the common. The Community Power Coalition public hearing / informational meeting is next Tuesday, and that is like the second one they had one last Monday. And I'm pretty sure those are on NCTV, or this one will be, I'm sure, and the last one was. So if you want to watch those and see what was happening, this is the thing about trying to get the power cheaper by like group rate pricing or something. So if you're interested in looking into like what's happening with that, because it sounds like you will be enrolled no matter what. They'll send every household a card or something. And if you decide you don't want to enroll in that, you can opt out of it, which, I mean, I think it looks like it'd be smart to do it because we could save some money on electricity, even though I'm sure it won't be long term because they already seem to find a way to, get their money either way. But that would definitely be some relief that we could use, especially being, Biden's coming out with his new initiatives that by 2032, 9 years from now, 2/3 of the cars that are made in this country are going to have to be electric by his standard, which hopefully the next person in power can eliminate and wipe out all this crap that he's done to destroy our country. Because can you imagine your $700 light bill, or mine's $700, Steve's is $700, now charge your electric car? So if you're spending $500 a month in gas, I bet it's going to be like $4,000 or $5,000 a year or a month, to charge your electric car. So what are you going to have, a $5,000 light bill? And that's okay, right? It's saving the environment, which, yeah, as little kids in Africa are mining out the minerals so that we can have these electric cars, and we care so much about this, but it's okay. So, and the other thing on the agenda for the select board meeting is just their poll coverage for the vote coming up, and I believe it's the May 9th, I believe it is. It's going to be a Tuesday at the at the high school gym, voting all day. But the one thing I want to note with this is open forum. Once again, 2 meetings in a row is the last thing on the agenda, which clearly shows that the select board now just doesn't want to hear from their citizens, because it's always been in the beginning of the meeting. It's always been agenda adjustments, minutes, and then it's just been open forum for years. And now suddenly it's, oh, let's put open forum at the end, because if this other stuff takes too long, then most people will probably be like, well, I don't want to stay here until 10 o'clock or 11 or whatever and leave, I'm assuming is but I just find it interesting that the board that's always been so much about receiving communication from the people in town, and where the school hasn't been that way, and I've wanted to see that change, and I believe we've changed it a lot. Now suddenly it's like, oh, we'll put open forum at the end so that people can speak at the very end. I don't know. It's just, these people, I guess, just don't realize that they work for you. They literally are representatives for you, the community, and they should want to hear from you. Like, I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you at school board meetings. I want to hear from you about the show. Like, what can I do, or what can we do, or whatever in town to try to make things better? Like, I want that communication from people. Clearly now the select board doesn't want that communication, because we're going to put our open forum at the end of the meeting for the second time in a row. I don't know. Shame on you guys, because this is supposed to be, we the people run the community, and we elect people that are supposed to represent us. And those decisions they make are supposed to be about what's best for my community and the people in my community. And trying to shut down your speech or put it at the end. And some people, oh, it's just at the end, it's not a big deal. Well, no, it is, because it's always been in the front, and it's always been the first thing. And now suddenly, because of the heat they've been getting over a lot of the decisions they've been making, or the town managers have been making, suddenly it's, let's put it at the end of the meeting, because what? We don't want to hear, like, clearly you just don't want to hear from the people. So, I don't know. Selectmen need to wake up and realize that they work for the people of Newport, and town manager needs to realize he works for the people of Newport. But yeah, I won't get into that too much. But there are 5 people running for 2 positions this year. Herb Teller and Barry Connell are running for their positions. They are currently in those positions. Their positions are up. And then Jeff North, Doug Ring, and Bert Spalding Sr. are running against them. So you'll have 5 people on that ballot to choose from. You choose 2. My personal opinion, it's time for new people, all new people. You know, not that, you know, Barry I've seen stand up many times, especially like the things with Stevens and whatever, but it's just, to me, it's like it's too little too late. It's time to put new people in here that have the people's ear and want to do what's best for the people and the best for Newport. And not that not that Herb or Barry necessarily, are like, yeah, I'm going to do what I want to do and I don't care about Newport. I don't think that at all. But it's time for new people in there. It's time for new blood. Any board that's had people there for years and years and years, you need new people in there, because you get used to being there. You get complacent. You forget that, oh wait, I'm an elected official and I'm supposed to represent people in my community. And so for me personally, it's my opinion. It's time for new people. And then next election is time for same thing. It's time for new people. The people that have been there for years need to step aside, and the people that have new people come in. And it's a challenge, of course, because like the school board, like, no one ran against me or Jenna, which, I mean, actually, don't get me wrong, I'm thankful, because the year me and Steve decided to run 2 years ago, it was 4 people for 2 spots, and I'm like, man, like, me and Steve say, hey, let's step up. And so I didn't win. Bill and Steve had won, and I mean, most of you know the story anyways, but and then Rhonda Callum King had resigned in like July, and then I got appointed to the position. 2 other people had applied too, and then currently we're in the same position. So if you're looking to join the school board, until May 8th, I believe it is, right at the SAU, there's a form. You just fill the form out, and at our first meeting, our next meeting, which will be in May, we're going to like interview the people and then choose somebody to replace Bill's position, which is a 1-year term until next election, and then that term would be up, and if that person wants to run, they would decide it'd be an election position at the time. But so if you're looking at getting more involved, I know we've got one applicant so far, so we'll see. Hopefully, at least we have one. Sometimes you wonder, is like, are we getting anybody? But if you really want to get involved in that aspect of things, that's an opportunity too. So one thing, and it kind of goes back to the school where I was just talking there about these positive things, but the Sugar River Regional Valley Technical Center, the FBLA, takes home the Most Improved Chapter Award, which was one of these that Stephen was talking about, who's our student rep, was talking about when they went to their meet or their conference a couple weeks back, and they won a lot of awards. But for a small school, for them to win this award was huge. So shout out to these kids, and as much as you hear negative from Newport, like I'm telling you right now, there's way more positive. We're just trying to fix some of the things so that even more positive things can come out of it. And but some of these kids, they're real rock stars, and they definitely make Newport proud. And these guys here did an awesome job. And so congratulations, guys. And then saw this. We used to, when I was on the fire department Croydon years ago, we used to do this every year, and it's kind of, you don't see it as often now as you used to, but there's a rabies clinic. So for cats and dogs, $10 a shot. It's going to be this Saturday from 9 to 1. First come, first serve. It's at the Masonic Temple, 40 Maple Ave in Claremont, and the shot will be good for 3 years with proof of previous vaccination. If not, it's a 1-year shot, and then the following one is good for 3 years. So if you want to get your dog or cat the rabies shot, which you should do, obviously, if they haven't had it, $10, and I'm sure that it goes to a good cause. Usually these things are like half of the cost of whatever goes to the doctor, and the other parts for this is for the Masonic Lodge, but or temple. But same thing, like the fire department used to do it. It was just to benefit them, and the doctor, you pay for the shots and whatever, and then the difference would go to the charity, whatever. And obviously, I'm sure these people do a lot of different things in the community. But over in Claremont, if you're interested in $10 a shot, I don't have a clue what a regular vet charges for this. I'd assume it's probably more money, but if you need your dog or cat, you can even try to get your husband rabies shot, but it probably won't work. And then, like you talked about, next Tuesday at 6:30, I believe at 6:30 is the New Hampshire Power Coalition meeting, which is the second meeting. And like I said, the first one, I'm pretty sure you can go on NCTV, whether you go on, their website, it's probably the fastest way, and you can just search for it, and it'll be there, and you can learn about what's happening with this. So Sunday, April 30th, we've talked about this a lot, and I want to talk about it a lot in every show because it's very important, is the Newport Green Up Clean Up, or I call it Twisted Tea Can Pickup Day, which Bratton Whitney Road is famous for. Bud Light cans too, I've seen a lot of those, and PJ was telling me there's different places. There's Nip Corner, and so it's interesting. But I was noticing, I was coming to Steve's today, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of trash on the side of the road. PJ thought it was getting better because we've been doing these now for a few years, that it's not as bad as it used to be. But I just hate to see it at all. It's like, just throw your trash. Like, first of all, don't drink and drive. I don't understand that personally. Like, and if you're at home and you can't drink at home, then there's a lot more issues at your home than just drinking. And I drink, that's fine. If you want to drink, you're an adult, whatever, but do it at home, or just don't do it in a vehicle. You're not supposed to drink and drive, okay? That's how people die. And then don't throw your can out or your bottle or whatever on the side of the road. I just don't understand that. Like, I guess if you drink and drive, like, I'm not encouraging you to drink and drive. I don't want you, that's stupid. Just drink at home, or drink at your buddy's house, or drink at the bar, or whatever. But why do you got to throw your can out on the road? I don't understand that. Like, I get an open container if it's in your vehicle, but I don't know. I think if you tell the cop that, listen, I was going to throw this out on the side of the road, but I figured I was listening to Tim and Steve show, and they said to throw in the back seat. The cop might be like, all right, well, make sure you throw those away. Maybe he doesn't give you a ticket. Maybe he does. I don't know. But why? Why do you have to throw it on the side of the road? Just trash barrels. Every gas station has it's right there. Clean out your vehicle. You throw the stuff in there. It doesn't cost you anything. So anyways, get involved on the 30th, Sunday. You get a free shirt. And, you know, first come, like, I think they got I don't know how many shirts they have. Like, last year, I think they had like 100 shirts or whatever. But, so you show up at 9 a.m., and you're just going to pick a route. Some routes will be already done, and you'll be like, oh, okay, I'll do this one. We just picked our street, so I used to live off Herd Road, but Blueberry Ridge goes down, and then we just did Barton Whitney Road, which is in front of Steve's, which I think we'll probably do that again this year. And it took us about 3 hours to go from the corner of Blueberry Ridge and Barton Whitney down to the bottom of, you know, Route 11 by Latva Machine. And you just, they give you the plastic bags, give you everything you need. And we did it as a family, with my family and Steve, Nikki, and JJ, his dog, was with us, and it was fun. It really was. It was a beautiful day out, so hopefully it's a beautiful day then. And it's just a great way to give back. And then at the end of the day, when you're done, it's like, you feel good. Like, hey, I've really done something today to help my community. And doesn't cost you anything. They give you the stuff, and hey, you can get a free shirt. And then usually go back to the rec center around noontime. And last year they had pizza for everybody. So it's a good way to, you know, give back to your community. And if you're elderly or you have issues where you can't walk a lot or whatever, you can, maybe just do in front of your house. That would be even a help. And they could still give you a bag, and there's like clear blue bags or whatever that PJ comes around and picks up all the bags and puts them in a big dumpster that usually Anella brings over to the rec center. And but tires and that stuff that's on the side of the road, just you're gonna bring up on the edge of the road, you're gonna put there. PJ comes and picks it all up and disposes of it and gets rid of it. And like I said, you wouldn't think it's fun picking trash up, but actually it was a good time, and we look forward to doing it. Like, we're gonna do it again for sure. This year at the end of the month on the 30th. So, and it's just in time for Steve to be back. So Steve comes back on, I believe it was Saturday, the 29th in the morning. And I was like, good thing you're back then, because the next morning we're going to do the cleanup day. So, all right, some more national news. This one's actually a New Hampshire news too. So I guess DeSantis was in New Hampshire over the weekend, and DeSantis' speech briefly disrupted by protesters in New Hampshire. So 2 protesters briefly disrupted the Florida governor, Ron DeSantis, as he was delivering a speech at the New Hampshire GOP fundraising dinner on Friday. The 2 individuals who interrupted the Republican's speech seemed to be yelling "Jews against DeSantis" as they were moved from the stage. And DeSantis responded by saying, "You got to have a little spice in your speech, right?" And he added, "You got to have a little fun." And so, why'd you want to pay the ticket to get in just to do that? I don't know. But different strokes for different folks. He handled it very well. And it was weird because it was just 2, I don't know, late 20s, early 30s, maybe women. Had like a little sign. I can't even really read what sign said. It was like a little video of it, but interesting. I guess and I'm sure probably wasn't cheap to get into this thing either. So to pay to get in and then to protest that, it just doesn't seem smart. But hey, you do you, I guess. Another thing that's quite funny is so Bud Light, I'm sure everyone out there has seen this by now, but so Bud Light had got this I don't know, transsexual person, Dylan Mulvaney or whatever, who's a guy who apparently wants to be a girl, advertised for them. And so that little deal they did, literally for 1 week, Anheuser-Busch lost $6.6 billion, which, hey, go woke, go broke. That's how the term goes. And this just shows that we have more power as a community than you think, right? So it's like, well, what can we do? Well, just stop buying Bud Light then, which is what obviously a lot of people did, because they lost $6.6 billion in 1 week, which that's a lot of money. There's this video out there, this guy that supposedly works for Anheuser-Busch is like, Bud Light's not selling at all. Like, it's just like tanked. And so now, in response to that, they've decided, oh no, well, we're losing money. So they come out with this patriotic Heart of America advertisement, which I watched it, when I was doing this prep. And so if you go online and Google it, you can watch it. It's got the Clydesdales back in it, and it's a good commercial. But for me, it's like, really, it's a little too late. Like, you wanted to go this direction, which is a complete opposite, which I don't think follows any of our values as a country or anything, which I don't care what you do in your personal life. I really don't. But when you have these big companies out there just trying to promote the hell out of it and think they're going to make money by going this way with such a low percentage of the country that even cares about this stuff, and then suddenly it's like, oh, well, we better come back to, the heart of America. And Anheuser-Busch isn't even an American company anymore. It was sold a few years back to a company out of in Europe. So it's kind of gone downhill since then. Like, they got rid of the Clydesdales, after that. They used to have a lot of commercials with the Super Bowl. They were always like the best commercials. Like, Budweiser always did the best commercials. Not anymore. But then suddenly, well, we've lost all this money. We better turn this around. And as far as I'm concerned, if I was a beer drinker, which I'm not, and if I drank, Bud Light or Budweiser, I'd be like, no, I'll find something else to drink. There's a lot of, local beers you can try. Like, craft beer has become a huge thing in this country. And if I was going to drink beer and spend my money on that, I would be like, yeah, I'll just do that. Because, so you went one direction because you thought that was smart, and now suddenly you're going to do a complete flip on that. Like, you're solely just trying to earn your money back. You're trying to now, fool the American people into thinking, oh, well, last week we thought this way, but suddenly, no, we believe in the heart of America and all this stuff. And, well, they don't. They believe in making money, which I get it. You're a big company. You want to make money. I have no issues with you making money. But, hey, if you want to go one direction, own it. So if that's what you want to do and you want to go with this whole tranny on the beer can thing or whatever, then do that. If you're going to do that, do that. No, a week later, say, oh my God, I made a huge mistake, and now we're going to try to go the complete opposite direction. Like, screw that. I would, if I was anyone out there drinking, that drinks beer, Anheuser-Busch wouldn't buy a damn thing from them. There's plenty of other companies out there. Obviously I've drank Bud Light before. I've had Budweiser before. To me, it tastes like crap, and most of the other beer is similar. There's no huge difference between Bud Light or, Mick Light or Coors Light. So, yeah, I would just spend my money on something else that isn't a big company that decided to, go woke. Like, let them go broke. Let them go broke. It shows these companies that if you want to keep doing, look what happened to Disney. Disney went all woke, and they've lost so much money since then. How about you just do your job, which, if you're Disney, it's entertaining children. If you're Budweiser, it's selling beer. You should know your audience is clearly not what they were going for. And I don't even understand how you thought somehow that was going to make you money. So how would that ever make you money? It's like less than 5%. It used to be 1 or 2%, whatever it is, of the whole country is it relates as LGBTQ, whatever. You thought that 2% suddenly was just going to buy so much of your beer that, it's stupid. I don't get it. But this proves and shows the power of people. And if you don't like something and you're like, no, I'm not going to buy your product anymore, boom, look at it. Like, me and Steve talk all the time, and Steve's a lot better about it than I am, but, the NFL and, the kneeling and stuff. And I would still, watch it, because if I wasn't watching it, to me, it was punishing me. Like, hey, I like watching football, but I don't buy any of their stuff. Nothing. I've never bought any of their football stuff. But 2 years later, you don't see any of the protests. You don't see any of it, because they realize, whoa, this is not the way to go. But out of the protesting of all that, Colin Kaepernick, he doesn't play in the NFL. And he's the one who started the whole thing. So the power of purchasing, the power of people to make these decisions, you have the power. Just don't buy it anymore. If this product makes you mad, just don't buy it. There's other products. There's other beer out there, obviously. Just don't buy the product anymore. Hey, we're done. I won't buy Nikes. I refuse to. And you know how hard that is? We went to Dick's Sporting Goods a couple of weeks back, or a month ago now, I guess. Mueller's starting baseball, Luder's starting softball. And I need sneakers because I haven't had sneakers in a while, and I just don't like buying clothes and shoes and stuff. And so I'm like, oh, I gotta get sneakers. And I got these Brooks, which I actually wear them all the time now, and they're really comfortable and they're good. But Nikes are probably 80% of the shoe in the store, and then there's Adidas, and I don't even think there's any Reeboks at Dick's, and I get it. I'm sure Adidas is the same way. For me, why don't I like Nike? Well, because they've gone woke many, many times. They've been anti-American many, many times. they've been known for have, little Chinese young kids making their shoes, or Indonesians or whatever. Like, so I refuse to buy Nikes. I tell my kids all the time, I won't buy you Nikes. It will not happen. And that's hard to do. Like, it really is hard to do. But guess what? I do it because that's what I believe. Like, I believe, no, screw you. And is just little old me going to make a big difference and Nike's going to change the way? No, but if enough people say, no, we're done, just like this Bud Light thing, they'll have no choice but to change. So, interesting, but I can't imagine losing $6.6 billion in a week. It's almost like the U.S. government would run the business. So, a couple of things. So, Morgan Freeman, I love Morgan Freeman, and some of the things he's said in the past, like, so he declares that Black History Month and the term African American is an insult in a rare interview, because he doesn't do many interviews. And what I like about that is, and the things he said is, like, no one ever comes out against any of this stuff, right? Because they don't want to touch it. It's scary. You don't want to go after any of this, because this is a cancel culture we live in, right? So you say the wrong thing, the next thing is you're enemy number one, and then they try to cancel you and everything you do and destroy your life. And then it's like, wait a minute, you're allowed to have your own opinions in this country, which you always have had that right, but nowadays it's very controversial, right? But so he explains that, Black History Month and the term African American insulting, which I said before, like, my buddy, his family's from the Dominican, and so someone says, oh, he's African American. No, he's not. He's Dominican. Not every black person in America is an African American. Like, it's crazy. So he had said that the two things I can say publicly that I do not like is Black History Month is an insult, he declares, and you're going to really Jesus Christ, sorry. You're gonna put all my history in just 1 month, and so I don't subscribe to that title. He said the black people have had different titles all the way back to the N-word. I do not know how these things get such a grip, but everyone uses African American. And what does it really mean? He said black people come from a variety of countries across the world, and not just the continent of Africa. He reasoned that Irish Americans and Italian Americans are not called Euro Americans. And then he had said that this was back in the interview in 2005 with Mike Wallace, when he did a 60 Minutes interview. He had said that he said, why isn't there a white history month or a Jewish history month? And then asked Wallace if he wanted, have special months, and Wallace was like, no. And Morgan about it all, I don't either. I don't want it. Black History Month. Black history is American history. And I agree 100%. Like, it's just segregating people more and more, but it's like, oh, but it's a positive thing for you. So people will buy onto it, right? Like, no, it's just segregating you. Whether you're black, brown, whatever color you are, if you're American, you're American, and your history is the history here. It doesn't make sense, and so you see it all the time. Like, so my stepkids, they're I don't call them my stepkids, but for the sake of this discussion, Andrea's kids from a previous marriage, like, they're half Mexican, and so what would you be like? Oh, you're Mexican American? No, you're an American. You were born in America. You're like, no, it's not. So it's just another way to segregate people and make them separated out. And then so there's Black History Month. There's this, and then if you're like, oh, I want a White History Month. Oh my God, you're the most horrible person, racist person in the world. And no, we don't need any of these. None of them. We don't need Black History Month. We don't need any of them. You can celebrate history every day, and you celebrate all these things every day. It's just crazy. It's just another way to segregate people and to separate people and try to get them to fight amongst each other, when if you really want to wake up and notice what's happening, it's the mega elites in this country and the government that is screwing your life over miserably. And the more we focus on each other and not on the actual root cause of the issue, the longer this continues to happen. So good for him for saying that. Obviously, no, white person could come out and say that, because they'd be destroyed, because they'd be considered racist. But I don't think many people go after Morgan Freeman, because he's well liked in every circle. I don't know. We live in crazy, crazy times. So this hits close to home too. The title is Stay Clear, Train Derails, Carrying Hazardous Materials, and Catches Fire in Maine. Steve texted me. I think he said that's like where he went when he graduated or something. So Saturday? Yeah, so the latest train derailment occurred in Maine on Saturday. This derailment is especially worrisome since the train was reportedly carrying hazardous materials and it caught fire. The train with toxic materials derailed, caught fire near Maine's largest freshwater body. So it was in Rockwood, Maine, and it happened near the Moosehead Lake, which is one of the largest bodies of freshwater in the whole entire state. And the Rockwood Fire and Rescue warned local residents to train derailed with fire north of Rockwood. Hazardous materials, please stay clear. There were reportedly multiple train cars that veered off the tracks. It's not specified what the materials were. Crazy. Like, how can this amount of trains derail over this period of time? Like, seriously, ask yourself, looking back, and I know now we have like a microscope on trains. Like if a plane crashes and then suddenly I get that. So, but to keep thinking this just keeps happening, like there's no way this for the last years of our, 10 years of our lives that this has been happening at this rate. There's no way. And then it didn't make the news that suddenly like this is Maine, and there's been so many food places that have burnt to the ground. There's chemical, like all these things. We've had stories on the show where 12,000 gallons of this chemical gets into the Delaware River. Last week, and I didn't talk about it on the show, and I meant to, but 18,000 cows died in an explosion in Texas up in the Panhandle. And I kind of asked Steve, like, hey, if you heard anything, because you're in Texas, and he didn't say much. He's like, his mom had like Fox News or something on or whatever, and which he's like, says she doesn't ever watch the news, but had it on. But please explain it. Like, I've seen many dairy farms. There's many dairy farms around here. 18,000 cows is a lot. And I get it. Texas, you have bigger farms. So, and it kind of showed the building. It was just like this opened concept building with a roof, and it exploded. And one person got hurt, I don't think they died. They got hurt. And then 18,000 cows died. Like, first of all, the size building for 18,000 cows to fit in something like that is huge, because that's a big, cows are good size, and then for an explosion and then like to kill all of them, you would like, I don't think one Tomahawk cruise missile could kill that, like hit the building and kill all those cows. I don't know. It's just another story of another thing. And then it's coming out too. You're seeing all these things where they're trying to put mRNA, like vaccines in animals. So yeah, all right, if you don't want to be vaccinated, they're just going to put it in the animals that you're eating. And then obviously whatever the animal eats, it's going to end up in your body. Like, they're just totally attacking the food supply. Like, we've said it so many times on the show. How do you win wars? You cut off the food supply is like the biggest thing, right? Explain this. And then they're destroying your land all around. East Palestine, like, look at that. Like, seriously, those chemicals are going to have harsh effects for a long time. I don't care what they say. And the story's starting to come out of there, like, more and more. And you just wait a couple of years, and then all the truth will come out, just like the truth about every other thing that we've talked about. It's a conspiracy theory. And then 2 years later, it's like, oh, yeah, no, no, it's true. This is, and it's like, so this is what's going to happen with all these things. And then, like, this is hitting even really close to home, over in Maine. And then it's right near water, too. Like, it's just insane. I don't know exactly what's happening, obviously, but it sure seems like we're under attack from within in our own country. Last time we talked about all the food places that burnt, like just recently, the one in Connecticut, it's like the third biggest chicken producer in the country. It burns. Like, and I get it. Fires happen all the time at, fire, like stuff happens, but at the rate it does now, like, there's no way. There's no way in hell all this is just a coincidence. So, man, it's just nuts. This is why you need to, like, learn to garden if you have like a little bit of land. Like build yourself a little garden and have some of the stuff, because get a couple chickens. Chickens lay an egg every day. You know, if there's just two of you, 2 chickens is enough to probably get you through. Unless you're a big egg user, then get a couple chickens, and it doesn't cost a lot to feed them. And a bag of, chicken feed is less than $20, and the bag for us usually goes, even with 12 chickens, goes probably close to 2 weeks. You figure that's $20. And then if you had 12 chickens, that's a dozen a day, which is a little much, but you could sell them or give them to somebody. And eggs are now between $6 and $9 a dozen, depending what you get. So it doesn't take long to pay for itself. But a couple other things here. This another example of what's happening in the country that isn't being said, isn't really being noticed, unless it's like on our show or it's on, Joe Rogan's show, or there's a lot of obviously shows out there that are talking about this, but then your mainstream media probably isn't talking at all about this. There's 9 countries fighting to topple the U.S. dollar, and some of them have already. So basically, they're trying to make the U.S. dollar not the exchange, in which throughout the world the U.S. dollar is that's what they use. We use the U.S. dollar for everything, right? So Argentina, Brazil, China, of course, France, which is surprising, India, Iran, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and South Africa are all going away from the U.S. dollar and either trying to create their own dollar with China, or they're just going to go to a different dollar. So this is just going to hurt our country more. So if you devalue our dollar even more, which inflation and Biden has already done, we're going to be in some really, really tough times here soon. And I don't care who is the next president, if it's Trump or if it's some other Republican or whatever, as long as it's not the dipshit in the office now. Like, even those people, and like, Trump's policies were good. Trump's policies were good for America. Maybe Trump was an asshole. Maybe Trump is someone you didn't like and you think all these bad things about him, which it's fine. I don't have a problem with that. You can think those things. But the policies did benefit our country. It was a good time in our country during that period of time, as far as stocks were better, gas prices were lower, like a lot of those kind of things, right? You still had the media going after him and causing a circus, and there was that stuff we had to deal with, which wasn't fun. But you can't destroy so much, and this has been 2 years. Biden's only been president for 2 years. You look at all the bad things that have happened, and you can't say it was an accident. There's no way. You can't. I could become president today, and I know crap about any of this stuff because it's complicated. I don't think I could destroy the country as fast as this guy is. Like, because you'd get some people in there that are professionals and know what they're doing, and be like, hey, what do we do here? What do we do here? Not this guy. He's just trying to find anyone that fits his agenda. Female, or needs to be LGBTQ, or needs to be a Black American, or something other than what may be normal. It's not about the best qualified person with him. It's just about different. It has to be someone that's not normally in that position, which that's dumb. Now, if you have the best person for the job, and I don't care who it is, it's this Black woman, then you better hire that Black woman because she's best for the job. Or this man, or whatever, I don't care. You should hire the best person for the job. Like any business has common sense, you hire the best person for the job. Nope, not this administration. You solely pick them based off of their sex or color orientation, which that is wrong right there. That's racist and sexist. That's the president of the United States, but no one's saying anything about it. It's like, oh, it's okay. Like, he's solely choosing all these people only based off of that and that alone, not qualifications. Like, this person's the most qualified. Okay. If a white male is the best qualified position for this, yes, I want to see more diversity in our government. But if that's what's best in this position, then that's what we need. Not let's destroy the country as we pick these people. And he's not. Trust me, he could find people that are good for those positions and still fit what he was trying to look for. He's just trying to put the most incompetent morons in these positions to run this country in the ground. And clearly it's working quite well. He sucks at his job, but if your job is to, destroy the country, he's doing a goddamn good job at it. So I don't know if anyone's seen this. This is really scary. And this should kind of alarm people probably more than some of this other stuff even. But so over the weekend in Chicago, which anytime you hear Chicago, you automatically think how many people have been shot over the weekend, because they have some of the toughest gun laws in the country, yet they have the highest, they're in the higher level of crime in the country. So if you want to make the argument, well, gun control laws work and all this, well, that's a fabricated myth from left-leaning liberals that think taking your guns away are going to fix your issue. That's about power and control. Has nothing to do about trying to fix the issue. Chicago, for many, many, many years, I mean, honestly, probably going all the way back to Al Capone, has been a corrupt city. It always has been, but the violence there has been horrible for years. And they got a new mayor, but this new mayor, I guess, is a defund the police thing, which I don't think any of them ran that way, but this guy, I guess, is now. But hundreds of teens flooded Chicago. They smashed car windows, or cars in general, attacked drivers, and then 2 teenagers were shot. It's alarming. There was like this video. It's like hundreds of, they're saying people under 20 or teenagers. They went to Millennial Park and just went crazy, and then they smashed car windows, and there was shooting and complete chaos. And like, what the hell? This has to be orchestrated, right? First of all, how did 200 people or whatever get together and say, hey, let's go do this? What is happening? Like, our whole country it's just devolving into chaos everywhere. I believe it's a ploy for sure. That's trying to distract you from whatever's happening. Meantime, we don't have Epstein's list. And how long has that been? Ghislaine's been in jail for what, a year now? More than a year now. Apparently sex trafficked to absolutely nobody, because nobody's been arrested for it. We haven't heard anything about so-and-so was arrested for being part of this Epstein Island. Nope, just her. She's the only one. You want to talk about riots in the streets, or not riots, but protests? Like, those 200 kids should be protesting that, because they are directly they were affected with it. Kids their age were being molested, raped, and horrible things done to them on this island with a super elite guy who apparently has listed lots of elites in the government, in Hollywood, all this. These mega people, right? We're all going to this island and doing these horrible things to these young girls, or boys even, I believe was the case in some of these too. Nothing's being done. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Crickets. And then they sealed it. And then it's supposed to get released, just like the JFK files are supposed to be released. It's been more than 60 years for JFK. We know the CIA helped assassinate him. Like, everyone at this point knows that, and most people believed it before they were going to release it. But it's just a delay. Like, okay, to delay it. So what are we trying to do? Why are we trying to delay the Epstein thing? So that states like California can be like, they've already decided and passed laws that, you can have sex with a minor. It's just, there's, I don't know what the age difference was, but they're trying to make it legal is what they're trying to do. So they're trying to make it so that there is no age thing. It's like, oh, if you're 50 and the child's 12, that's perfectly fine. That's what they're trying to do in this country. And you can be like, Tim, you're crazy. Really, look at California. And then you can also look at Washington State just passed this thing where if you're a parent and your child's like, hey, I want to have a sex change, if you try to stop that child from that happening, they now have a legal right to take your children from you based off of that. So if you don't think that your kids are being targeted, you really should wake up. And yeah, it's on the West Coast. It's in the United States, and it's going to work its way this way, I'm sure. But at this point, the whole West Coast of the United States is complete loss. You should just give it to freaking illegals. They can put a fence around that. They can have Washington, Oregon, and California go ahead and open the border in Tijuana and close the rest of it off. And there you go. You can have it all. It's a joke. So you're criminally responsible if your kids do horrible things. But on the flip side of that is you have no right to tell your kid, oh no, you can't have you can't cut off your genitals and become a woman, or vice versa, or hormone blockers. If you do that, we'll take your kids from you. It's literally a story out of Washington State that I saw over the weekend. It's insane. Absolutely insane. And then what happens to these kids later on in life? Like, there's not enough mental health issues in this country when they decide, oh my God, I guess at 8 years old, I wasn't mature enough to make a decision like that I knew nothing about. And now suddenly I've completely destroyed my body. And now all of a sudden, what now? And then the suicide rates on transsexual Americans are huge, like 25%. It's a really high number. I wonder why. Because they have mental health issues that no one is addressing, no one is helping them through. They're just living into their fantasy. Oh, you want to be a woman? Sure, we can make you that. You want to be a man? We can make you that. So you're playing God now. Like, okay, which we've done for years with some things, right? But now we're going to start cutting off body parts and adding them, or to make you feel you'll never be a woman. If you're a man, you were born that way. You'll never really be a woman. You can look the part, you can talk the part. I guess they can give you the parts, but you're still never, it's just not there. You know, they dig up your body 100 years from now. Guess what? They're going to be like, oh, this was a male, blah, blah, blah. Because that's it. That's how it works. So now we're going to just give into this, right? Kid wants this. We're going to do this. So what's next that's going to come out that, well, kids want to do this, so we should just let them do this. What's next? Where does it end? At this rate, it just seems like we're trying to destroy the country. We're trying to destroy any values we have in this country. This country is valued on Christian values and decency and whatever, okay? And you could say, well, you know, I don't believe in, you know, Christian values, or I don't believe in God or whatever. Okay, that's fine. And I won't argue that point with you. If that's your belief, and you have a right to that. But I would still think that if you don't believe in these things, you would still be like, okay, but I do believe in respect. I believe in kindness. I believe in helping your fellow man and women out. I think you'd believe in those things, right? You'd believe in, you know, kids go to school, they have respect for their teacher, teachers respect for them. They try hard, you work hard. You believe in all these things, but they're trying to do away with all of it. Every drop of it. It's just, no, it doesn't matter anymore. Nothing matters anymore. Nothing. It doesn't matter if you go to school and you're horrible and your teacher can't teach. It doesn't matter if you apparently riot in the streets and destroy vehicles, and it doesn't matter if you burn cities to the ground. As long as you're on the right side of this, as long as you're Antifa or Black Lives Matter or something that is okay with the liberal left side of this country, and not, you know, I'm not talking, you know, your grandparents' Democrat Party, or, you know, probably 99% of the Democrats in this town or state, they don't believe in any of this stuff at all. It's way, way outside. They don't believe in this stuff. But if you look at it nationally, as long as you follow on with the Democrat Party on that side of things, it's totally okay. It's totally acceptable. Now, if you are a Trump supporter, that's a real trigger, or a Republican or a gun supporter, and you did any of these things, they would lock you up and they'd throw away the key. Look at January 6th. Video footage comes out that shows it wasn't what it was, which most of us knew anyways, that it wasn't anything like they tried to make it out to be. They're still talking about this, even after the footage get out, even after they had released the Seanum guy, whatever, the guy with the bull horn thing on his head. They had to release him because they broke the law and they didn't give his lawyer all the evidence that they had, which is illegal, which it violates his rights. So they released him from jail, which they sentenced him to 4 years, but he already spent 2 years in jail. Like, the government doesn't care about laws anymore. They don't care. They just do whatever the hell they want. No big deal. And then when they get caught, it's like, oh, well, shoot, we'll have to, you know, do this. This should alarm everybody in this country, that there's certain laws that apply for you, and there's certain laws that apply for these people over here. That is not how this country works. You know, Lady Liberty, the blind justice thing, where you get to balance the scales and it's blindfolded, and where's that? Because that is what it's supposed to be, but clearly it's not that way anymore. You just got to get the right judge that was appointed by the right president, and then suddenly you can get what you want. Wait a minute. Laws are set in stone, and I know they're open to interpretation, but there's only so much interpretation you can get. Like, shall not be infringed. It says it right in the Second Amendment, shall not be infringed, which means you can't infringe on my rights in any way when it comes to guns. That doesn't mean, oh, you can't have an AR. That's a, you know, assault rifle. First of all, there's no such thing as an assault rifle. Assault is something you do. A rifle is a rifle, and just because you take a gun and make it look scary, you put the black plastic stuff on it, makes it look like a military weapon. Well, we got to ban that. Well, that's just a 22. Well, we got to ban it. Like, these idiots don't know a damn thing about guns or nothing else. They want control. If they take all your guns, then they'll easily put you in the boxcars and send you away to the little 15-minute cities and do whatever the hell they want. Wake up. Look at history. History repeats itself. It's happening right now. It's like we're Rome all over again. Our birth rates are down, which is a surprising thing for me. I'm surprised that the birth rates are down. Maybe it's just the area and country we live in. I don't feel like birth rates are down, but supposedly birth rates are down, which happened in Rome. And they just look at everything that's happening in our country. It's like Rome all over again, except China. Someone's just going to waltz right in here and be like, yep, we're taking it all over. You think you're going to have these freedoms? You think you can do this? I don't think so. We'll be, in mines getting out the lithium for them as they do whatever. It's crazy. I don't know. The only thing I can think of that you could do to stop it all is just everyone in this country, everybody needs to say, you know what, I'm done paying taxes. I'm done. You could cripple the government that way. Done. Not doing it anymore. We're not paying taxes so you can send it over to Ukraine. And there's so many stories coming out of there that the whole thing is such a lie, that nothing like they said is happening over there. It's just they're laundering money and they're paying Ukraine off with all this crap with, Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. And it's crazy. Just that's what you have to do. It's the same thing. Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch was $6.6 billion in 1 week because of a person they just chose to do advertisements for them. And you just got to take the people in the country and say, you know what, I'm done. I'm not paying my federal tax anymore. Pay my taxes to the town, benefits me, but I'm not paying the federal tax anymore because you just taken my money that you worked so hard for, that they take 28%, right? Immediately, right out of check. So you worked all week, 28% of it's gone. Well, wait, but I work for that money. Why should I give it to the government? Oh, it's to protect you. So when's the last time the government was doing things to protect you and to help you? When's the last time the government was like, hey, we have a lot of veterans out in our streets that can't afford food, that are living homeless, and they're veterans and they fought for our country. When's the last time you've seen them like, hey, we could do something about that? Couldn't tell you the last time that happened. Where are they like, hey, we have a massive drug problem in this country. It's coming across the border, this fentanyl. When's the last time you heard the country, these people that run it, especially very high up, the president or his border person, or Homeland Security, Mayorkas, when's the last time you heard him say, yeah, we've got a serious border issue, we need to get the border under control? Nope. They deny it. They say, no, there's not an issue. When's the last time any of these people have said, we got to do what's best for the American people. We need to help the American people. Like, their electric rates are through the roof. How can we fix that? Or gas is really high, which it's not as bad right now, but it's probably bound to go up a lot more soon when Saudi Arabia keeps cutting back production and, Obama or Biden, however you want to say it, is destroying the production in the United States, because we don't need any of their fuel. We could take no oil from any other country and take it from the United States, and we would be fine for like 200 and something years is what they've estimated at, because we have a lot of oil in this country. We just don't tap into it, or not at the rate that we used to. When's the last time any of that happened? When is the last time, the government, your tax dollars went to something that directly benefited you? And, Newport, like, oh, getting a rec center. Yeah, okay. That's cool, but we're 31 trillion in debt, and you spend, you as the government spend money like it's nothing, right? You just keep printing it. No big deal. Now, if me or you are in debt, 31 trillion, which, or it doesn't matter, 31,000, 300,000. If you're in debt, you're going to go to the bank, like, hey, I need money, I got to do this. They're going to be like, yeah, right, that ain't happening. Our government, we'll just tax you more. We'll hire 87,000 new IRS agents to go after the billionaires that aren't paying their taxes according to Biden. Nope, because there's 787 in this country. So 87,000 agents, to come after me and you, go after the waitress that, didn't claim all her tips, or it's nuts. So send a message. I think tomorrow's tax day, the end of the last day of the file. Screw them. Don't pay taxes. I get it. The IRS will come after you. Yeah, they will. But if 100 million Americans decide that they're done paying taxes, what are they going to do? People need to realize that you have all the power in this country. You have all the power. They are nothing without us. And that's what they're trying to distract you from. They're trying to make you never think that. That's why they always have these penalties and everything. Oh, well, you do that, we'll throw you in jail. We'll do this, we'll do that. Well, good luck throwing 100 million Americans in jail or 10 million Americans in jail. It can't happen. They don't have freaking room for the jails they have now. You can put 10 million Americans in jail, 100 million Americans, 5 million Americans, hell, even 1 million Americans. Can't happen. Not going to happen. Crazy. That's the only thing I can think of. Done. Stop paying federal taxes. I'm not talking your state taxes. I'm talking your federal taxes. Because the federal taxes is where all the waste is going. They just pissing that money away. They don't care. It's not theirs. And, you get 174,000 as a congressman or woman or senator. They spend a term there and suddenly they're worth millions. How does that happen? Oh, wait, because they're taking it from us. They're laundering money back through Ukraine or whatever else, and lobbyists are paying them. And, hello, they don't represent you anymore. Look at everything that's happening. And then they train derailment. That's no big deal. 250,000 gallons of vinyl chloride you just burnt up in the atmosphere. No big deal. But you're going to have to drive an electric car soon because the environment is so important to us here. Yet, the amount of pollution we create is nothing compared to China. China doesn't give a crap about the environment. They are the number one polluter in the world. If China cleaned up their act, probably things would be immediately better in the whole world as a whole. So we can do whatever we want. We all could walk everywhere and live in freaking teepees or tents or whatever and use no carbon and no whatever, and not a damn thing's going to change in the world that create a difference because China pollutes so much. China is still creating coal-powered plants. They don't care. Yet you and me need to suffer. We need to buy an electric vehicle that you can't afford. You can't afford to charge. You can't afford to do anything with it. But it's okay because some morons in our government think that's what we need to do. And if you follow the money back, I'm sure someone in their family is getting paid very well for it because they either have stock in that, they have a company that they own that makes batteries, or there's something. There's always something. Follow the money; it leads right back to it every time. So, it's the only thing I can say. It's depressing. I was going through stories today, and I was just like, I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of reading all these stories, and every so often, I really need to, because it's important to really remember, hey, this is really happening out there, and we need to wake up and pay attention because there's a lot of bad things happening in our country right now, and we can just look down and not pay attention, but eventually it's going to be in your backyard to where you will have no choice but to pay attention. And it's starting to happen. It's starting to, happen closer to home. And, if you live in Chicago, 200 kids plus just destroying stuff downtown and everything. And what are they going to do with those kids? Are they going to arrest all those kids and put them in jail? Nope. It's not going to happen. This says 200 kids. So look at the power those 200 kids did. And it was negative. They sent a negative message, but then a positive message you send with a group of people 10,000, 100,000. Get on to the Capitol. For instance, tomorrow is the Parents' Right Bill's up. It's a huge bill in New Hampshire. I think it's 10 a.m. It's super important. If you're not doing anything tomorrow and you can go to Concord and you can speak at this and show support of this bill. This bill this Parents' Rights bill. you don't start doing something like that now, sooner or later, it's going to be Washington State here. Like, oh yeah, if you try to stop your child from getting a gender reassignment surgery or any way, we'll just take your kids from you. Now, your kids you can abuse your kids, you can do all this. We won't take your kids from you, clearly in the state. But if that's the red line you don't cross, is if you want to stop your child from, cutting off their genitals, then suddenly it's something that's important. But if you wanted to stop a child from being abused in his home, we don't really give a shit about that in the state, apparently, because DCYF is underfunded and doesn't have any of the staff they need. They have so many cases that it's like a waste. We're closing all the places that we used to send kids that did get in trouble. If you had bad kids, if you want to call it, that were stealing or whatever, you send them to like an Orion house, whatever. Well, the state's closing places all over because like the Sununu place, they got caught like sexually assaulting a bunch of kids in a $100 million lawsuit. So now we're just going to close them all. So we take away the punishments, we take away everything. But in Washington State, boy, that red line apparently is, if you want to stop your child from making a horrible life decision at any age, we'll take your kids from you. So horrible crap happening all over the country. But positive thing here in Newport and in New Hampshire, like springtime. It's kind of sucky today, and this week looks like a little more rainy and stuff. But there's a lot of opportunities to get involved. Recycle Percussion is coming on Thursday. There's like 310 tickets or something like that, it's like all for Newport people. That's a great thing. That's awesome. There's a lot of things happening positive in our community. We have to keep focusing on that, but we really need to be paying attention and go to the selectmen's meeting tonight. Ask questions. Ask the question, why is open forum now at the end of the meeting and not in the beginning of the meeting, where it has been for years? And they'll say, well, because we need to get through the business of the town first. And then I would ask the question, okay, well, open forum was ours first, and listening to your residents should always be the priority of every meeting, right? But why does it last now? Is it because you don't want to listen to your people anymore? And they'll give you some BS answer probably, but you should ask that question. People should go there tonight. Many people should go there tonight and say, hey, I got a question. Why is this now last? Is it because that's how important we are as residents? The taxpayers actually pay for the salaries of all our employees. We pay the salary of the town manager. We elected the five of you. Our voice is so important, right? That now open forum is at the end of the meeting. And so during COVID, that was a tactic school boards used to use. So parents would come in pissed off about masking. School board said, okay, we'll put open forum at the end of the meeting, and then as soon as it gets out of control, we'll just close the meeting, end it, boom, done. Well, the state actually did something smart and said, we'll pass a law that says that open forum has to be first, has to be in the beginning of the meeting, and you have to allow up to 60 minutes of public comment. And there's still a time limit or whatever. You have to allow like 3 minutes a person. I think we have 5, and we've been pretty lax about that, number anyways. But and they didn't do it at selectmen meetings because technically I believe selectmen's meetings you don't have to have an open forum. I believe you could actually not have open forum, which is ridiculous because they literally represent us. They're supposed to be doing what's best for us. So kudos. Jeff Kessler is the reason for the open forum years ago to start with, but now he's chair and now he sets the agenda, and now that's last. So apparently the criticism to the board and town managers, not acceptable anymore in town. Well, then why don't you address the issues that the community has? And if you address those issues, then it'd be hard to go there and just keep talking about the same thing, right? Well, it's because we don't see any action happening. We don't understand how someone writes a fraudulent letter, still has a job in this town that makes $100,000 a year. Oh, and a take-home vehicle. Oh, and benefits, which is probably another $30,000 a year. So that person still has their job, or the town manager still has his job for things he's done. But he's brought $25 million in grants to the town, so that's all that matters. So anything bad he does, it doesn't matter. It's just because he's brought so much money to the town. I'm sorry, but good and bad, you can do all the good in the world, but if you're still out there doing these bad things, then I don't care how much benefit you brought to the town, you shouldn't have a job anymore. I said before, you know what? Take the title of town manager away from him, make him a grant writer. I don't care if you pay him $160,000 a year. Tell him you need to bring $10 million in grants in a year into this community, and you'll get your $160,000, no questions asked, and benefits whatever he gets. And we'll hire like a town manager, PR kind of person that just does like the town management stuff. It'd be worth it. It would be Newport. I know. Like, wait a minute, we pay a guy $160. If he brings $10 million a year in grants into this community, it would be 100% worth it, because that money for the improvements in town, it would be worth it. And you take care of all the issues. Or get rid of him. Now I get it. Now you got to hire a new one. And they're not easy to hire. It is not a very common position, right? You know, you can go work at a bank, you can go work wherever. It's pretty common. You get a job. But, you know, town managers, superintendents, you know, those are, you know, the accountant, Paul Brown's going to be retiring in the next year or two. That'll be another position that's hard to, you know, to fill. So I get that. And you could end up with a worse town manager. You could, believe it or not. It's fine. Just put this dude in the back room and have him write grants all day. His life's less stress. He brings money in the community. Great. And then we just hire a PR person that does the town stuff and make sure things are running, you know, right. I don't know. But anyways, selectman meeting tonight, 6:30. Show up to it. I'm not sure if I'm going. I got softball practice and a lot going on this week. Have a meeting later with school and stuff, and then we get this ton of stuff going on this week for me. First softball game is supposed to be tomorrow if the weather cooperates. My JV girls are at Fall Mountain at 3:30. Excited, but also really nervous. You know, we haven't had a lot of practice. We've only had 1 week outside, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. But thank you for watching. It's like Wednesday, Donna's going to come in and we'll do the show with Donna, and we'll probably see the end of the week, call Steve and get an update, and then hopefully he's back soon. And then next week's April vacation. I'm not sure. I may not do a show next week just to have vacation with my kids and do other things, but I may. And then finally Steve will be back, and we'll kind of get back to normal here. And I'm still going to try to get some other guests in here as well. But so Wednesday, Donna will be in with me, which will probably make it a better show. Hopefully you watch the show, and I didn't go on too much about, you know, it's tough, like I said, doing the show by yourself. But, yeah, get out there, get involved, check on your neighbors, ask your neighbors if they need something. Just do something positive for your community. And, you know, tonight, show up at the selectmen's meeting and ask questions. Doesn't matter if it's negative, positive. Go there and thank them if you think they're doing an awesome job. Whatever. Just show up. It's important to be involved and to show up. It shows that you're paying attention and, you know, making sure everything's checks and balances, right? So thanks for watching the Tim and Steve Show, and we'll talk to you on Wednesday.
The blood till I see the golden gates. Troubadour, troubled souls, one of God's servants. Blades out, cut the grass till we see the serpents.
One day I hope you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to